Hey YouTube, Gundam here. Welcome back to Space Engineers. Today we're taking a look at a vessel from Star Wars Rebels. This is I don't know what actual class it is. This is Phoenix Home from Star Wars Rebels. It's where the Rebels had their first base for their A-wings and stuff. It looks kind of like a modified frigate from the Clone Wars, the medical frigate. Extensively modified. So, yeah. Let's go over this thing. Lower hangar with the camera so you can see. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold. Forward bridge with the camera. 4 forward laser cannons, so not as heavily armed as that Corellian destroyer, but this is a carrier. It's not supposed to be, but it will have good self-defense ability. Laser cannons, like this one here, one on the other side. These 3 here, hello. There's 3 a midline here. This is actually a turbo laser. So 3 midline laser cannons, these 3, that one, and this is where it gets fun, because there are 3 turbo lasers and 2 laser cannons. This thing has a lot of turbo lasers actually. That Corellian destroyer had 12. This thing actually has 9. There's 2 more elsewhere. There's 6 here and then 1 there, none underneath. Or, yeah, that's a laser cannon. And 1 in the back. So, with that in mind, I should really count up the guns before I make a video. 16, 17, 20, 21. I believe there are 21 laser cannons. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there are 21 laser cannons. So, not quite as many as the 24 on that destroyer. But, 21. It is a carrier, so that's okay. 7 turbo lasers. Excuse me, 9 turbo lasers. There's these 3. Well, on the other side, obviously, there's that one. That's a laser cannon to defend the rear of the hangar. On the end there actually isn't anything. Laser cannons up here. Laser cannons back here. But it's down here where there's a couple of turbo lasers, so it's got a nice surprise. Now, what this does have is rotaries to kill missiles. 4 rotary blasters. It's very well defended against missiles. So it has a pretty decent armament, but it is a modified frigate. And yes, heading down, there's obviously some side engines there. This thing's actually pretty poor in the side engine compartment. You have the hangar on the bottom here. 2 connection ports. I got this. There are 2 connection ports here for different craft. The connection port with the main airlocks here, and the majority of the heavy hitting armament with the thruster. Lots of reverse engines on this thing. The antenna, because it's a carrier, it can carry fighters, so it needs plenty of antenna. There's actually a camera in here. This is not an accessible area, but there's a camera with this. That's a first hydroponics facility. And I forgot one thing. No, that's much better. Carriers need to have redundancies. They need to have a lot of redundancies for their power and their oxygen. This is a modified frigate, so it doesn't actually have that much. It can only get oxygen if it's getting hit from the sun from the side. Where that sun is, gives this only 2. And this one is getting a mere 1, but at least it's producing a little. The solar panels here, 2, 2, 2, and nothing. So, A carrier needs to have redundancies in case all internal reactors and stuff are out of gas and ice. So you need oxygen somehow. Those will help. So a carrier has to have redundancies and extra antennas. Now this thing's fast. I know what you're thinking. Oh, from the side it doesn't look very fast. That's true. It doesn't have many thrusters side on, and the top thrusters and the bottom are identical to this. It's not very good. That's it. That's the thrusters to get it going up and down. The reverse thrusters, there's a few. The thing is, this is a heavy boat. Now, it's the forward thrust that really packs a punch. You probably saw a glimpse of it earlier, but the forward thrust, I mean, oh, I forgot about these laser cannons. So what does that make? 25? 27? There's laser cannons in the back, yes. They're hiding. But yeah, this is a lot of thrust. 3 big ones and quite a few smaller ones. And that's mirrored on the other side. I forgot to mention also, there's a laser antenna on this thing. Now, why is this thing very fast? I mean, it doesn't appear... The point of this carrier, it's a frigate carrier. It's designed to go in and get out. That's what the rebels did for the majority of them, is hit and run tactics. So their craft need to be able to go in a straight line quickly. Now this is a carrier, but it does have some firepower. I'm just going to go into the computer and find out just how many guns it has later. So how is this thing super fast with just this and that? Well, these aren't the only engines. You probably saw it hinted earlier, but I skipped the middle because this thing has a Titan engine. Now that engine takes up a lot of room, but this is a lot of thrust. This thing's ridiculously quick. So let's take a look at it internal systems wise. At the front, it's very identical to the frigate. Reactors with cargo containers and a few gyros. It's very identical because of it's the same ship from the beginning. A few more gyros here though, and jump drive. 2 jump drives right at the beginning with gyros and the beacon. There's an oxygen tank and 2 big reactors. Well, for the jump drives and the batteries, yes, but what else? Well, there's a bank of cargo containers. We have the crew, the sleeping area there. Tons of gyros. We're going to skip those. The entire underside there is just the hangar with a lot of cargo and a ton of oxygen storage in the middle. Moving on, we have the medical room with a turret there. We have a briefing room, or just a passenger bay, in case you want to assault something. A few more gyros. I don't know why there's so many conveyors, but oh yeah, that's right, cargo. There's cargo containers throughout here. There's a pair of these hydrogen tanks. Big old hydrogen tanks, which is pretty nice. There's a few oxygen tanks hiding here. The oxygen generator is up front, by the way, forgot to mention. But yes, the oxygen generator is way up front. But there's another one around here. Obviously, the Titan engine's here. Hello. It's sitting on top of all this. So, it's sitting on top of hydrogen tanks, oxygen tanks, lots of cargo, lots of gyroscopes, the rear jump drive, but also, this is the first ship. Even the Corellian destroyer doesn't have this. But this is a carrier, so it should. This has a shield system. There's actually 2 generators, one on either side. They're not very good. They're actually pretty garbage, but it has shields. So this ship can take a hit. You want to knock out the shields, you got to hit right there. Right That's why there's turbo lasers literally right underneath the shield generator. So aim around the just rear of the shield of the turbo lasers here. Pound through this right there, and you will hit the shield generator. I'm actually going to light it for you. That's a lighter color than normal, and that is the shield generator right there. So, but there's two of them, so you're going to have to hit it a few times. Obviously, the Titan engine takes up the majority of this. Now, in these wings, besides engines, there's gyroscopes all over the place, a pair of huge cargo containers, two more big reactors, and that's it. Just a bunch of thrusters then. Gyroscopes, big reactor, cargo container. Yeah, both sides, by the way. And that's it. That's everything. But it's what's in the upper bit. That's where it gets intriguing. There's the engineering department. We'll take a look at that in a few minutes with more cargo. There's cargo containers everywhere, but it kind of needs it. The ship is a carrier, so going up now. Well, starting from up here, there's just turrets and stuff leading down to a oxygen tank, arc furnace, assembler, arc furnace, another arc furnace, and yeah, carriers need to be able to replenish their fighters. Carriers need to be able to build new fighters if they must. Oops. I'm going to put an oxygen generator in here. I wanted a generator. I didn't think it had enough. Oops. I didn't think it had enough oxygen generation. It's got a generator up front, but now it has another generator in the back here, right by the refinery. Or is that even connected up? Oh yeah, it's got a thing on the bottom, right? Yeah, it does. So it's connected up. So there's an oxygen generator with an oxygen tank right here. 3 arc furnaces, 2 assemblers, and a refinery. Now that's pretty big. And I should probably connect those a little better to that refinery. Just because you need to make sure that thing stays connected. So, yeah. So, you need to have redundancies in carriers. You need to have solar panels. You need to have oxygen farms. You need to have shields. You need to have jump drives in the front and the back of the ship, if at all possible. You need to have heavy reactors in the front and back. You need to have plenty of cargo. You need to have hydrogen tanks somewhere in there. You need to have lots of batteries. And you need to have a refinery to replenish your fighters. Either build the new fighters or not. Oh, and I forgot something else. For the hangar. The one thing I really forgot, which is a welder. I'm not sure where I'm going to put it, but I need it. I also think we could use it on the outside. There. That'll help. Help you repair your fighters from outside the ship, if need be. That'll give it some ability. And yeah, there's a ton of cargo in here. Also should have the ability to repair fighters inside the ship. But the problem is that's a 2-piece block. And that isn't really by a good point to put it. Over here might be. I do believe need it. So, nope, it's not. Okay, so you're just gonna have to. It's a modified frigate, so it wasn't originally designed for fighters. So having that out there actually makes sense. You can weld your craft, but you know it makes sense. So yeah. Now let's take a look at the internal areas that the people you deal with. Now, because this isn't an Imperial ship, you won't have your you're not gonna have any fancy schmancy systems because it's not really an Imperial ship or a really, really good ship. It is not a really big, powerful ship. I mean, it's not bad. It's just you're not gonna have automatic doors. So first off, airlock, double turret fun. Hello. Head into the airlock. Vent. That's it. Going to the rear first, you come to here. First off, turret and vent. Second off, yellow doors. These are the briefing rooms. So, the briefing room for the fighters or for passengers to sit. Then a red door. This is engineering. You have the emergency terminal, remote control block, and gravity generator. And on either side, you have access to this big guy. All with some ability to repair a few gyros if needed, and almost reach that cargo container. Now we'll go forward on the ship to these 4 blue doors. Intriguingly, there's 4 doors. Medical. There's 3 medical bays in each one. Come to this room, this hallway, there's oxygen tanks, very similar to the other one. And then there's this. What the heck is this? Cryo! The cryogenic storage for a good-sized crew. This is meant for the crew, so... Next, a red door. This is actually important, because this door might not be so airtight. And I forgot one other thing. There. That's actually important as far as I'm concerned. You have access to a cargo container here, but these air vents are crucial. Now, the reactor's back there, so I wanted that sealed off. You can see it there. So you can break through to a reactor, a pair of them, just by cutting off this little bit here. But there's a turret, so it's not going to be so easy. Heading down here, and past another turret, which reminds me of another one, turn. Yeah, that's the jump drive up there. It's hiding. But yeah, so plenty of turrets in the hangar. But I forgot button panel as well. What else am I forgetting? So, nice big old hangar here. So this will open the rear door, which does have a camera. And I'm going to set this one up to open the front door. There. So remember this? Yeah, it's going to take that a while. Might need to add more. But it does help that the rest of the ship now doesn't have to deal with it so much. I mean, it will, but it'll take a lot less time. There. That's fine. So, heading up here we have, what do you think? The bridge. Because I think it needs more oxygen. So you have a jump drive hiding there, but you can't really reach it now, and that was what I intended a while ago. I just actually... I wish I had that other thing, but I didn't want to put that in. So yes, I actually wanted you to have access to a couple of gyros to repair if needed. Now it does make it a weak spot of the bridge, but it's a modified bridge, so... sue me. You need oxygen here because that door will probably be open, in which case you will die because of the lack of air. So, jump drive, which could be turned actually to gain access. What else am I going to have to change? Deleted for nothing. Figure. So yes, vents, jump drives, turrets, more vents, command bridge. What else am I gonna change before I do stuff? So technically this is a hero unit for the Rebel Alliance. Remember hero units in Empire War? Yeah, this is technically a hero. And let's move this thing around. Going up, it's very slow. But that's the only thrust you've got for doing such. Going from side to side isn't very better. Actually, it's worse. You see it trying to... Now, reverse isn't too better. Here we go. There's 5. So it is better, but it's not a lot better. But what do you think is this thing's main? Yep. Turning really struggles. This thing does have a weak spot. It's actually hard to control. It's actually very hard to control. But it's a carrier, it needs to stay in the back anyway, so... Another weak spot on this carrier, besides its massive weight, which is pretty nasty, another weakness on the carrier is that when you spin it, it changes direction and you don't want it to. But the last weak spot, which is pretty major, is the lack of power. Notice every single time I engage the forward thrust, it's like, nope. So, giving you the ability to turn that off is pretty good, and it's still not very slow going forward without it. I mean, it's not fast anymore, but it's not slow. So giving you the ability to access the Titan engine was initially my intention. You can see the hulking mass right there. And I intended this to be by my design of the Imperial Star Destroyer, so you can see how puny it is in comparison. Remember, that hangar there is big enough for the Corellian Corvette that I have, but obviously not big enough for this. That's okay. So, yeah, this thing's puny compared to an Imperial Star Destroyer, but it's supposed to be that way. It has its atypical forward firing guns, which is, yeah. So, about them weapons. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 15, 20, 25, yeah, 27. There's 27 of them. These are the forward ones. And there's several turbo lasers. There's actually 8 turbo lasers. And then there's the 4 rotaries, excuse me. I'm missing a turbo laser somewhere. Oh. So if you want to evacuate the ship in a hurry, there is one way to do it. It's called open the door and get out. Whee! Other than that, the only way to get out is to go all the way to there. So yes, by having almost in the right spot, by having engineering in the back here, but somewhat defended. But before engineering, there's briefing rooms and the passengers with the airlock here, and then medical here, then the crew quarters. So by having the airlock here, you have medical next, and then passengers. So going towards the front of the ship, which is also where the hangar is, which is right by this reactor, the hangar access being here. This was one of the last minute things as well. And you notice there's a battery there with the jump drive. So yeah, and the reactor obviously. But yes, the reason for it, the crew, it comes first, and they can defend their ship from being here, but also by having the medical facility here. If somebody comes in, you just send them right down the hallway to medical. But having the crew passengers here, they're going to be good guys. They're going to defend engineering and thus the Titan engine. Now, another added benefit of having the medical facility here is if an intruder comes in from the hangar, besides all the guns they have to get by, the medical facility is further back, so it's harder. Now, if they come in from the airlock, well, the problem with the airlock is all of these 3 turbo lasers and 2 laser cannons. It's not going to be easy for you to board this ship. Not with this broadside right where the airlock is. Not to mention, just below it there's a laser cannon, bringing with a welder and those, which means it is going to be difficult to recover fighters. But remember, this is a modified frigate, it makes sense. Now, a broadside from an upward mount is a nasty surprise, because up to 3 rotaries can hit you. That laser cannon can hit you. That laser cannon can hit you. Laser, 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 turbo, 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 turbo. That is nasty. 8 laser cannon? No, 10, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 laser cannons, 4 turbo lasers, then up to 3 rotary blasters from the side here. If you lower just a bit, that laser can't really hit you, but that one might. And if you go back, the other rotary won't be able to hit you. But that means you had to fly a bit in order to get here. And that laser's coming into field soon. Now, what if you go down low? Well, you have, from here, is probably the worst position you can be, because that can't hit you, that can hit you, cannot, but that laser can, that one can, the one up top cannot, but there's a turbo laser back there. So this one of the safer places to be on any ship is underneath. But even here, this isn't a good spot, because you have all these laser cannons and turbo lasers there. The lower firepower on this ship actually isn't bad, by having those bottom laser cannons able to hit you with that one there, and the two rotaries. And if you go anywhere to the side, you have 3 turbo lasers and a lot more laser cannons able to hit you. Plus another rotary if you're near the front. It's a nasty surprise. So coming in here with a fighter, it's not gonna be easy. So yeah, carriers are gonna have redundancy by having oxygen farms, refineries, and solar panels. Now, it's a modified frigate. This is a modified frigate, so it makes sense that things are just too crammed in. But that also means I have to make sure I memorize that bit when I make the quasar fire down there. That is not an acclimator. An acclimator is actually going to be big. I'm probably going to take that, make it bigger, and then make the acclimator off of that, because I like that design. It looks good. It looks a lot like an acclimator, actually. But that is the Quasar Fire, which is also from Star Wars Rebels. Just like this thing, Phoenix Home. So, yeah. I need to remember the stuff of this when I build Quasar Fire. So yes. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and your first hero unit, or frigate carrier for the Rebel Alliance. It's a modified ship, so it's really not good at either, especially in maneuverability. I'll catch you later.